Hello, my name is Syndy EMADE. I was born Alone Cynthia EMADE, 21st November 1993. I come from a very modest family, a family of a lineage of very strong women. The men are amazing, but the women are powerfully great. And I just think that's where I got it from. Not only from my mother, but my grandmother, my great-grandmother, and all the women generally. And growing up, I was growing up already with something because I was surrounded by women who had had amazing stories, and I grew up knowing that these women had a vision and they were able to go through a lot to be able to accomplish. And I just think that already gave me a dream as a little girl. So growing up as a kid, I already had visions and goals that I already wanted to achieve in life. And I just think today it explains a lot, because I won't say I've really achieved a lot at a tender age, but I've been able to accomplish certain things at a very tender age. And I just think that's what has been my drive. I was student parliamentarian when I was in Form 4. So I have always had first the leadership skills. So at the age of 13, I found myself going to the National Assembly as a young parliamentarian to represent the Southwest, not only to pose the problem that they were going through, but just being surrounded by all of these children, but being able to represent a whole community. That was already something, and it was molding what was inside of me all through. So that has been, I'd say, inborn. And what do you have to do? You get a talent, you discover what you possess, and you build it, you develop it. I always say everyone is gifted differently, but it's all on how we are able to develop what we are given. And after Miss Tourism, I went for Miss Mount Cameroon 2011, and I still won. And I was Miss Heritage Cameroon, and of course Miss Southwest, and a couple of more. And then along the line, I got called for a movie set as a model, which was Obsession by Ashir Breeze, that had won a couple of awards in the UK. And getting there, of course, if the camera had been my thing as a kid, definitely this would be normal for me. Of course, especially as it was my dream. So I had 3 scenes on that movie set, no dialogue. In essence, I went to die on that movie. And getting on that movie set, the way I died, everyone was amazed. So I always tell people, whatever little thing you're given, do it well, because you don't know where the opportunity is going to come or who is watching. And that's just how I got called up for the next movie to audition. So that was the beginning for the acting in me. And I didn't waste time. I took the opportunity, grabbed it. So I immediately switched my modeling career, everything, and put it, all the power, all the determination, and all the focus, and I switched it into the movie and the film business in essence. And that's where my film career started. It's not easy. It's a stony path, and you're sitting there thinking, oh, this is what you've always dreamt of, and here you are, but it's not moving. You look at the number of movies that were produced 2011 from that year. There I am sitting, how do I get a movie set? How do I really show what I have in me? How do I tell my own stories? How do I use the talents, the craft I have to be able to pass a message across? And at that time, I won't lie, it was a whole selection. So people would actually call their own friends to be part of their movies. And somehow there were stars existing already. Just as I said, I got on a movie set where I saw actors that I loved. So you had stars already that would feature on every movie set. And at that point, you just get motivated not to hate the people who are called on these opportunities that you want, but you get motivated to work, because if those people were called, it means they've worked for it. And that is the mindset of a visionary. You see people at a level, you don't hate them, but you put it in mind that they work to get there. And what does it tell you? That you have to work to be able to get there, and even more. I was having my degree, which of course I studied economics and minored in banking and finance, nothing to do with film. But of course, after my degree, I was able to further in University of Adan. I took an online course in production and acting, of course. And then I looked at the pace of me being on set. It wasn't going. That is where I got the drive to want to produce, to venture into production. And I was able to talk to a few producers and see what they go through to be able to make a movie. And at that time, as compared to now, the cost of production wasn't really what it is right now. So the only path I had to turn to was my family. So I went back to my family and begged them to support me that I wanted to make a movie. But as it is, family was like, no, it's school first. You get your degree, you get your master's. We all know how Cameroon is. You can't get into the movie industry. There's not going to be money. You have other careers that you can pursue. And definitely it's book, and studies first. And that was me all confused and all of that. So what was I able to do? I was able to sit with my friends. We came up like a team of producers, which was three of us, and one could write, because at that time we couldn't buy a script. So a friend of mine could write. She's an amazing script writer. And another had the possibility of regrouping people together. She was able to get locations and all of that. And I was the resourceful person who could at least solicit for funds and do the letters to companies and all. And we waited for months and months. And my God, it was so hard. No answer. And we just had to push through. That's how we produced our first movie, which was titled Different Kinds of Men, 2012 in Boya. Literally, we had even gone to actors to be part of that movie. And the stars at that time said no, they couldn't be part of it because they were like, oh, what do you know? What do these people even, what can they do? And it was so strange. And we went on the streets of UB scouting for actors. And today we have some fine actors who were made from that movie. Today they're amazing actors, but we had just been walking in Boya and we saw a group of boys and we walked to them, and that's how we got acting out of them. And that year, Different Kinds of Men came out to be a movie that was a shock to everybody. No one expected that movie to have been the way it came out. We took a little story but made magic out of it. It was the dream we had in us that pushed our determination to want to work and bring it to reality. And that was how we produced the first movie. But what happens after that? No market, no sponsoring, no finance to push through with the career. And that is how my friends, I won't say give up, but they decided to take another path. But the dream kept burning, the fire kept burning in me. And I knew this is what I want to do. This is what I'm born for. And this is the path I have chosen. So I had to keep going. And when I decided to keep going, I put everything on the table. I laid down the difficulties. What are the possible solutions I could get into it? Cameroon, a difficult country where filmmaking is not that encouraging, where people don't look at actors as people who can get monthly salaries or live off their craft, or you see an actor having cars because they are acting, where producers, directors, technicians don't really earn a lot. Put all of that on the table. Is this what I want to get into? Is this where I want to stay with all the other options I have? This is what I really want to do. And that's how I came up with solutions. I decided to create opportunities for myself. Started first with the creation of my production house, which was Blue Rain Entertainment. And I scouted actors, technicians, and everybody, and decided to start working for us to learn and create. And that's how we came together to build Blue Rain Entertainment. And of course, today it is what it is. One of the greatest and biggest production houses in Cameroon that has made some of the best movies that we've had, not only in Cameroon but in Africa and the world today. And I'm super proud of my journey so far. It's been so hard. It is still hard today. I would say it has changed, but it wasn't easy. The greatest challenge I faced was the financial part. The financial part was the hardest, where you have to make a movie. And you make a movie, you have to make the next movie. The next movie has to be better than the previous one. And for it to be better, then you have to put in more finance. And for the movie to be good, you need to have an amazing story. You have to have good actors, good locations, and a good technical crew. Every time something happens, I watch. and I do all I can not to make the mistake that I saw the first person doing. So watching all the producers who had been making movies before me, all I had to do was go to them, talk to them, ask them questions, and try not to make the same mistake they did. And knowing that there were no cinemas, there were no TV stations ready to buy the movies, we couldn't do DVDs because it was going to increase the rate of piracy and all. You produce 1,000, 5,000 CDs and you sell just 500 because everybody has pirated it and all of that. How do you make the money from the previous movie? Those were the questions I had to ask myself, and from that I was able to create opportunities that will be able to permit me to make the next movie. And that's how I turned to the option of Nollywood, and I was able to find myself in the market of Nigeria, and of course gradually in the market of Ghana, and that was a big push for me. It was a big plus for me because that did not only increase the scale of my production, but increased my level of professionalism, because now my market was not only limited to Cameroon, but I was able to look at the international market. And that's just where my career took another turn, because everything I did was for the international. It was no longer for Cameroon, and that was just my vision. It grew bigger and bigger, and today my works, I'd say I envisioned them for the world, not only for Africa even. And that was just the drive. And getting actors from Nigeria and Ghana, me working with them, permitted me to be able to screen my movies in the cinema in Nigeria and Ghana, which I couldn't do in Cameroon because there were no cinemas. It permitted me to have my movies on Nigerian channels. It permitted me to be called for movies in Nigeria from here. And of course, that was just a turn in the career. So I didn't sit back to wait for things to change in Cameroon, for us to have 20 cinemas to come where I'll produce a movie and the movies will be in the cinema. I'm happy to say, when I talk of the world, I'm looking at my movies on Netflix, and it's one of the reasons why Blue Rain is working to have the first Cameroonian movie on Netflix today. We did with the last one, A Man for the Weekend, which was the first Cameroonian African movie to have been on 8 major airlines at the same time. 8: Air France, Brussels, Emirates, and all the rest had an African movie for the first time at the same time. And that didn't stop us. It just made us believe that, okay, if there's no Cameroonian movie on Netflix, it's possible. And today it's happening. So I'm super proud of the journey, but I'll say persistence and dedication has always kept me. I've never let the difficulties hold me down. No matter how hard the community throws it at you, I just know that there is a solution out of every problem. And I have it at the back of my head that I'm on a mission. Many a times I've considered to just move. I had a contract in Hollywood 2 years ago, which I think many people saw. I was supposed to have been in Hollywood and moved. But here I am. I believe I'm on a mission. Many a times it takes this to stay in Hollywood, in Nollywood, just Nigeria, and never come back. But there's a mission that God has entrusted in some of us, and I believe I'm on that part to be able to give something in the movie industry and make it what it is. And it cannot be done by one person. We can do it together. So that is the dream.